UFC 259. And so this weekend, we've got 3 championship matches, 4 champions that are going to be fighting, and obviously a very, very stacked card. There's a lot of big names. There's a lot of exciting prospects. And of course, there's a lot of champions. So I really am looking for the bigger UFC shows, the monthly pay-per-views, but maybe not even all of them. But I am looking at doing press conferences. I do think that these are an interesting opportunity for us to kind of get excited for what we're about to see at the weekend. So, we did this for the Conor one at the start of the year, UFC 257, and that was a lot of fun. And so I thought we would try it again. The only problem with doing a press conference is you have to kind of listen to what they're saying, and it doesn't make for like the greatest live stream sometimes. So we'll have to see how it goes. But there's so much intrigue here, and there's so much that I want to hear from these different fighters that this is something that I will be watching anyway. I'm sure it's something a lot of you would be watching anyway. And so as a result, we might as well hang out together and kind of listen to what they've got to say. I'm really intrigued, I suppose, by Megan Anderson the most because she is facing such an uphill task. She is facing such a challenge. I'm really intrigued to see what she is going to say. Adesanya as well. He's always got something to say. I kind of think Jan Blachowicz is very much just going to keep himself to himself. I think if anyone takes any shots at him, then he'll quite happily fire back. But other than that, I don't think he's there to start any trouble. I don't think too many of them are there to start any trouble. I think Adesanya is definitely the one that could probably be the most outspoken. Aljamain Sterling, little bit of an unknown in regards to what is he going to say. Is he going to go off on Petr Yan, or I don't know. Amanda Nunes will be all right. Petr Yan, I think, will be quite respectful. I think all the champs outside of Adesanya are going to be quite respectful.
Hayden Garrett is a legend. They donated $5 New Zealand via a super chat.
I don't think he's going to go off like Conor would go off.
At 2:27 a.m. this morning, New Zealand just had 7.4 earthquake. I was in the bed when earthquake
she is
happened.
Facing the biggest challenge. Okay. I've got no idea if that's reading it out because I can't hear it. The fact it's gone makes me think that she stops reading it. So hopefully you heard that. I didn't hear that, but I can see that Hayden has got in touch, and Hayden said, "Hi days, at 2:27, New Zealand had a 7.4 earthquake. I was in the bed when the earthquake happened." Shout out to you, dude. I did actually see you mention that on Twitter. Yeah, that's wild. But not been reported here. It might be, but it might just be a really small story somewhere. But there we go, a 7.4 earthquake. I think, wasn't it just off the coast? Looking at what you put on Twitter, it looked like it was like out in the sea. So I think what hit you might not be the full force. Well, I mean, obviously, hopefully it wasn't. Hopefully it was well into the sea. So, yeah, that's still wild, though, the fact that it woke you up.
Luke's Wrestling World is a legend.
Hello, Luke.
They donated £1.99 via a super chat. Hello, baby, just want to say hi and leave. Smiling face with hearts, ghost, potato, chips, toilet.
Big fan of that. Big fan. I mean, like, in all fairness, I love the hello, baby. I think that's how all messages should start. So, hello, baby. Into that. And then what a wild collection of emojis to end with. I mean, like, how did you come up with potato, chips, toilet? I mean, sounds like a great night in all fairness. So shout out to you, Luke's Wrestling World. It has reminded me of
Gaming
a
in
little
real
story.
time is a legend. They donated $2 New Zealand via a super chat. Also an 8.1 earthquake with a tsunami warning.
Also an 8.1 earthquake with a tsunami warning. What is going on in New Zealand? What do you mean? There was a second earthquake? Or was it an 8.1, but what you felt in New Zealand was like down to a 7? Please respond. I need answers on this. Is there two? You've had 2 earthquakes. What's? I don't understand what's happening over in New Zealand. None of this has been reported. I've been on the BBC website a couple of times today, just having a little browse. It's probably the website I use the most, and I can't say I've seen anything to do with any earthquakes today. So not only have you got all the earthquakes, you're keeping all the earthquake news, right? So please respond, please share, thank you. So talking of potatoes, Azaitar. So do you remember Azaitar? I can't remember what the show was. Was it UFC 257? It was Fight Island, of course. So it might have been 257. It might have been one of the fight nights, like Max Holloway's fight night. But either way, Azaitar was meant to be fighting on one of those cards, and obviously got booted off that card and out of the UFC because someone came into the bubble from the outside and they brought a bag. They then scaled across balconies to get this bag to Azaitar. And as a result, obviously the hotel found out. It's got footage of it. Dana White found out and he said he'll never fight in the UFC again. Dana White was absolutely appalled. And you can completely understand why, because the only way that they're able to even put these events on is by keeping the bubble protected. And so someone coming in from the outside with a mystery bag, scaling balconies to get this bag to Azaitar and Azaitar's coaching staff, you would say highly, highly suspicious. The plot thickens because not only is Azaitar back with the UFC, but we found out what is in the bag. So it's kind of it's a wild story, but I've got to tell you, it's a story that kind of really hints to something going on behind the scenes. It doesn't feel good, this story. What I'm about to tell you that's in the bag is pretty funny, but it doesn't feel good, and we can talk about that in a second. We'll see what... here we go.
Gaming in real time
Guys,
is
earthquake
a legend.
update.
They donated $2 New Zealand via a super chat. 3 quakes, 7.2, 7.4, 8.1. 2 were further north.
You had 3 earthquakes. 7.2, 7.4, and 8. What is going on over there? And we honestly, we need to keep an eye on all these hidden parts of the world, because look at where coronavirus came from. Yeah, came from some random market in Wuhan, right? And it's like, I didn't even know Wuhan was a place. Yeah, and now I know all about Wuhan. Well, I know they've got a market. That's about as much as I know. And so now apparently there's all this earthquake activity down in New Zealand. 7.2, 7.4, 8.1. Wild. Absolutely wild. Well, stay safe, my friends. My New Zealand friends. Stay safe. So, Azaitar. Inside the bag was potatoes. So, there we go. It was potatoes that was inside the bag. So the reason that I say that I don't like this is because, first of all, why is someone smuggling potatoes into a hotel? Did the hotel not have potatoes? If that hotel is watching, please respond. But we've got a statement as well, and I don't like this. I really don't like this statement. The head of Dominance MMA went on to explain that Azaitar was never actually cut by the UFC. He was under investigation, but was cleared of any wrongdoing. So he goes on to say he didn't lose his job. At the end of the day, it was almost like an investigation. Dana looked over it. He's a great kid. Everyone loves him. All the UFC staff love him. Some people got involved. Dana was involved. And listen, when you've got Dana White himself handling certain situations, it's a serious situation. At the end of the day, if they find out whatever they think he did or didn't do, he's a good enough person to get a second shot. He got a second shot at it and looking to get a fight right now. He's a UFC fighter. He was never cut officially from the UFC. Let's remember, when you have media start asking about stuff, Dana wears his heart on his sleeve. No one can violate the bubble. I don't think everything that happened was intentional. At the end of the day, it's over. I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong. Dana thankfully brought him back and everything is good. I just don't like it. I don't like it because, like, I don't like this. I'm not going to say who's right or who's wrong. He was never officially cut from the UFC. It's like Dana said he was gone. Dana said that he was cut. And now, I'm not sure. It's not sitting right with me. I'm not someone that actually goes for, like, conspiracy theories. But I do know that this guy has got some pretty serious backers. This guy, Azaitar, has got some very powerful people that are supporting him and are helping him. And I read that and I just wonder if there's been a bit of pressure put onto the UFC about, like, don't cut this kid. It's not in your best interest to cut this kid, kind of a thing. And as a result, you know, Dana's giving him one more shot. If anything else goes wrong, then he's done. But it's like Dana was quite public in saying this guy was gone. So, and all of a sudden he's back, and all of a sudden the bag had potatoes in it. What is going on? It's just weird. It's just weird. It's not sitting right with me. So, anyway, that's by the by. So, little update on what was going on in the wacky world of Azaitar. Obviously, we lost a couple of just legends, just flipping legends. JDS has gone. Overeem has gone as well. And we only saw Overeem the other week. He was on his kind of run towards the title that had always eluded him. He'd put a nice little run together. He took on Volkov. If he'd got a win there, he'd be really in the conversation for a heavyweight championship opportunity. Probably would have to face, you know, someone else, couple more people, but he's there or thereabouts if he'd have won that. And obviously he lost. And that's it. You know, I mean, he is up there age-wise, and UFC have parted ways. So Overeem has come out and issued a statement just saying, like, this is the end of his final run. He wants to thank all of the UFC and the great memories over the past 10 years. And don't forget, this is a guy that beat Brock Lesnar. So this is a guy that, even though might not have the biggest name recognition, if you went up to someone in the street and said Alistair Overeem, they'd probably look at you quite, you know, blankly. But such a talent. I mean, just fighting his whole life. I mean, there's footage of him from the late 90s fighting. So, like, it's in his blood. He was a born fighter. And that's the kind of people that you definitely want around the UFC. The people that don't just do it for the payday, but do it because they live it. They breathe it. It's in their blood. That is exactly what Alistair Overeem is. And would be no surprise to me to see him go to a different organization. There's people saying he might end up in Khabib's organization or whatever, but I mean, there's tons. I'm sure there's places that'll have him. He doesn't look completely washed up, but I can't say I disagree with the UFC letting him go because, to be quite honest, could he be a bit of a gatekeeper for the rankings? Sure, you could maybe give him a couple more fights. In all fairness, I think what I would like from the UFC is I would like for them to, when it comes to certain legends, I really think they should do one more fight that is billed as their farewell fight. So Overeem is going to have one last fight on this date. It's going to be against an unranked opponent, and it's win or lose. Overeem is done. So. I would like for the UFC to give the fans and the fighters the opportunity to kind of like say goodbye. It's so cold how they're just like announced as, right, yeah, they're gone now. They don't meet the standard anymore, so they're gone. So it's like, really? Like Alistair Overeem, who's been around for 10 years, who's beaten Brock Lesnar and multiple great fighters, came close to winning the heavyweight championship, and were just like, it's just a little out of the blue announcement. That's what we get for Alistair Overeem, a little out of the blue announcement. It's like, can we really not do one more fight? I'm not even just talking about for Overeem. I'm talking about for JDS. I'm talking for Yoel Romero. There's all these big names that have been just cut. They just get announced. They're gone. That's it. And I do think it's such a shame that there's not an opportunity for fans to, like, you know, relive some of those great moments. So that's something that I would like UFC to have a little look at. They won't do it. I don't think they're interested in that kind of thing. I think they're looking for the next big stars. They're constantly looking for who's going to shift those pay-per-view numbers. And do you know what? I can't criticize that. I just think they're missing an opportunity as well. And I think the fans are missing out on something as well. So it is a shame. Let's hope that a 10.5 won't happen because New Zealand would be underwater, says David Hall. Absolutely. Stay safe, world. Big Fish Little Fish says AEW ratings will go through the roof after Paul White joins. I don't know if you saw, I know like this is UFC, but the ratings did just come out actually for NXT and AEW. I think AEW was on like 900 and some thousand. It was an incredible number, like out of nowhere incredible number. I'm guessing the Shaq factor. I don't know. This is the week that Shaq had a match, and it did nearly 1 million. So 900 and some thousand for AEW last night. 620 odd thousand for NXT. The gap was huge between the two shows. The gap was absolutely huge. So, yeah, a big dub for AEW. But the only thing I would say is, long ago we stopped comparing the shows with ratings. But even so, a big dub for AEW in regards to how they just normally perform. They're normally around 750. This week they did 900 and some thousand. NXT normally around 650. A bit of a bad week for them. Bit of a bad week, to be honest. And certainly if you think that this had women's tag titles, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler on the show, I mean, they moved the dial not at all. No one was interested. So it just didn't do it. Shaq is not a wrestler, and Match won all that. I don't know what that means. Shaq isn't a wrestler, no. I thought the match was done fine. A couple of little criticisms, but it could have been way worse. Way worse. I actually thought the match was fine. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think. That's the only reason I can think that it would have done as well as what it did. Because that is a big number for them. That is a big number. Connor to step away from proper 12, says Rick. Yes, that is true. I did just read this. So apparently Connor's in line to get about 130 million euro, I think it is. He said the whiskey would go on to make him a billionaire, and maybe it would, but for whatever reason, it looks like he's decided to cash in. And well, I mean, it's not bad, is it? 130 odd million about to hit his bank. There comes a point, I would imagine, and I have no idea where that point is, but there must come a point where like money just doesn't become a motivator. I can't imagine why. And like, you know, 100 million or whatever, why that becomes a motivator, unless he's got plans for the money, unless he wants to set up charities, or I don't know, a new business that needs even more money, or I don't know, I have no idea. But like he's picking up like 100 million for, how much did he get paid for his fight with Mayweather? I can't remember, but I remember that it was a significant amount. It might have been something like 50 million, and Mayweather got 100. Now his whiskey thing has got him another 130 million euro. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. At what point do you just, I don't know, at what point does the money and the numbers become irrelevant? I kind of feel like he's there now. So yeah, it looks like he is in the process of selling Proper 12, or Proper 12 will continue, but just he won't be involved with it, which I would think would kill the brand. Why would anyone want to buy Proper 12, which is, I've got it and I've tried it, and it's a perfectly nice whiskey. Nothing wrong with it. Nice whiskey, but it's not something that I would deem essential. It's not something that I'm desperate to race out to the shops because this bottle's almost gone. I need a new bottle. Like, I bought it because of Conor. Conor had, put his heart and soul into it. I wanted to try it. There was a lot of hype around it. It's obviously got a lot of connections with the UFC. So I wanted to try it for all those reasons. Marketing reasons, basically. Nothing to do with the taste. It's not like I saw reviews and people were losing their minds over it. If anything, it got mixed reviews. But I've tried it. I drink whiskies. I've drunk lots of different whiskies. I've been to Edinburgh, done the whiskey tour, and tried all the different kinds. And I mean, I spent an evening, a whole night in this whiskey place, this whiskey museum, and they have this bar at the end of the tour. And it's got, I think, pretty much every Scotch whiskey ever made. I'm not even saying that. The bar is just absolutely rammed from like the floor to the ceiling with bottles, and he needs a ladder to get to the top, and he's like blowing dust off these old bottles and whatever. So you can just try like all these different whiskies. Pretty much spent a night in that place. And so, yeah, I am a bit partial to the odd whiskey every now and again. And this one's fine. It didn't set the world on fire for me, but it was fine. It was very smooth. It was very easy to drink. Had some nice flavors in there. But as I said, it's not something I'm racing out for. I bought it because of Conor. If you're going to take Conor out of the equation, that brand's going to die. There's like thousands of whiskey brands. And I just don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand why anyone would buy that whiskey company if Conor's still not connected. So, don't know. Haven't got a clue. Don't know what their thinking is. They obviously have the money. They know more than I do. And they've clearly got some kind of plan. But unless they're going to keep him around as like a spokesman or something, that would make sense. They've got to have him connected in some way. Because if they're just going to buy him out and remove him, it'll kill the brand. So, yeah, that was a bit wild. Another couple of UFC fighters released as well. So, Geraldo De Freitas. Neither of these are big names, but just worth knowing that they've gone. Because, obviously, we have watched them before on the watch-alongs and whatever. So, De Freitas was 1 win, 2 losses. He's been released. Gabriel Silva as well has gone also. Those getting announced earlier today. So, I suppose we should talk a little bit about UFC 259 because this is the UFC 259 press conference. And obviously, all eyes are on those 3 title fights. My gut feeling right now is that Petr Yan is going to defend his title. I think that he is highly efficient. I think that's the word to describe Petr Yan for me. Highly efficient. He is someone that really puts the hours in with training. I remember watching his countdown when he was going up against Aldo for the belt, and like watching his training and what he puts his body through, and just his conditioning and everything. He is just a freak. He is just an absolute freak. So Petr Yan, I think, is something very special, and it's no great surprise that he went on to win that championship. I think he is a legit champion. He is 15-1, and his only loss was a split decision loss. He is 7-0 in the UFC. He is undefeated in the UFC. He's a pressure fighter, is someone that's got a great, insane chin. He's a pressure fighter, he's a striker and a wrestler. The only thing I would say is if the fight goes down to the ground, then we are definitely in Aljamain Sterling territory. So Aljamain Sterling is an incredible grappler, great wrestler. He's definitely going to have the advantage on the ground. If this thing stays standing, then Petr Yan is going to have the advantage. And Petr Yan, I just think, has got a great takedown defense and is someone that is going to be able to get the victory here. So it's actually a pick-em. The bookies just cannot split this. The bookies are like, I think it's 110, 110, minus 110, both guys, exactly the same odds. Well, I at the moment, I'm going with Yan. I'm a big admirer of his work. I do rate, of course, Aljamain Sterling. I think this is a legit fight of the night. I think this is potentially a legit fight of the year. I think this is an incredible fight. I think Petr Yan is a deserving champion, a worthy champion. I think Aljamain Sterling is absolutely the #1 contender. The fact that this fight is minus 110, I mean, it does not get better than that. Does not get better. The only way that fight could be any better is if these guys were household names. That's it. If everyone knew, if Petr Yan was like Khabib and Aljamain Sterling was like Conor, and they had just that name recognition. Don't change anything about them as fighters. Just increase their star power. Just increase their name recognition. It's the only way this fight could be any better, because it's incredible. This is legit champ taking on legit #1 contender, and the bookies have gone, we don't know who's going to win. So that is our first championship fight. Obviously, for the bantamweight title, Petr Yan is the champion. Aljamain Sterling is 19 wins and 3 defeats. And he is a former high-level collegiate wrestler. Aljamain Sterling, great grappler, great wrestler, very explosive power and speed. I'm leaning to the champ. I really am leaning to the champ. I think Aljamain Sterling can get there. I don't know, man. I think Petr Yan is something special. I really do. To tell you the truth, I've seen a few prediction videos, and the prediction videos have gone either way on this one. Some people are going with Petr Yan. Some people are going with Aljamain Sterling. It's really split. I fancy Yan. I mean, this is 5 rounds. There could be a late finish in this. It might go decision, but I'm leaning to Petr Yan in the later rounds. But man, I've got to be honest. If Aljamain Sterling wins, I will not be surprised. I don't want people thinking that, wow, okay, he's calling Yan. He must know something. No. What I know is that Yan is legit. He is legit. He is a great champion. He is undefeated. I also know he doesn't get the respect that he deserves for what he's doing at the moment. And maybe he'll get it if he gets past Sterling, because I think everyone sees this as a legit challenge. So this is a great fight. So that's our first title fight. Our second title fight, Amanda Nunes against Megan Anderson. Nunes, this is the second time that she's defending the Women's Featherweight Championship. And this is going to be not her toughest challenge by any stretch of the imagination, but she is facing a legit featherweight. She is facing Megan Anderson, who stands, I believe, at 6 foot tall and has got good size to her. So Megan Anderson is bigger than Amanda Nunes, and is going to be a very interesting challenge, because not only is she going to have size, but Amanda Nunes is a mom. So Amanda Nunes is a mother now with Nina Ansaroff, and they have recently got a child. So they are, I don't want to say distracted, but Amanda Nunes has said this has been a very challenging training camp. There's definitely going to have been distractions. I mean, it's a life-changing thing, but that is where we're at. Let's be honest, right? We are grabbing at straws with this fight, because Amanda Nunes is an all-rounder. If she stays on the feet, she's better than Megan Anderson. If she goes down to the ground, she's better than Megan Anderson. If they go over to the cage in the clinch might be interesting. If Megan Anderson can grab Nunez, take her to the cage, which she might be able to do with her size, and get a bit of control time. I mean, we're grabbing at straws. Is there a path to victory for Megan Anderson? Yes. Is she going to win? No. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Amanda Nunes is going to be retaining. I'm fairly confident on that, but I don't know. There's a slim, very slim outside chance, but the bookies have got Amanda Nunes at minus 1,100. They got Megan Anderson at plus 700, so the odds are insane. And then, of course, we get to our main event. Champion versus champion, Jan Blachowicz, defending against Israel Adesanya. This, of course, is the light heavyweight championship. Israel Adesanya is 20-0. He is 9-0 inside the UFC. He is stepping up to face the light heavyweight champion. This is for the light heavyweight championship. Obviously, if Jan wins, he doesn't get the middleweight belt, which I think is a bit moody. Should be title for title, but this is just for the light. I don't know how this got negotiated, but I have no idea why this isn't title for title. Someone should be guaranteed both belts. If Jan beats Adesanya, he should get the middleweight championship. That means he's the king of the middleweights as well. So, but I don't get it. I don't understand. Anyway, Adesanya against Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight championship. I've got Adesanya winning. I think Jan Blachowicz is someone that has really improved, really putting it together. And this is a little bit of an unknown. I'm not going to lie. Jan Blachowicz doing some mental stuff at the moment, winning fights that you wouldn't expect him to win, going on a run that no one really expected him to go on. He was struggling at the start of his UFC career. I think he was like 2 losses, 1 win. He really was struggling inside the octagon and didn't look like he was going to be a champion. And then started to put it together, started to go on a little bit of a run, started to kind of find his way. And as a result of all of that, managed to get into a title opportunity match. Obviously was victorious, beat Reyes, got the title, surprised the world, and now he's a champion. Like a champion that I don't think anyone ever expected to be a champion. So you've got to say that Adesanya is one of the greats. He really is, just ripping it up. Like, his sniping shots. Obviously, his kickboxing background, he's got an awful lot going for him. His striking is so crisp, so clean, so effective that I do think that he could just get the points victory, to be honest. I think that he's going to work his jab, use that range, use that distance, get in and out, get his shots off, get his kicks in, keep Jan Blachowicz at bay. Blachowicz has got power, but if he can't get close, he's not going to be able to use that power. I think Adesanya's got great movement, great lateral movement, can get out of the way, very evasive. And as a result of that movement, that sniping, striking that he's got, the kickboxing that he's got as well, I can just see him peppering Jan Blachowicz and, just take him rounds, to be honest. Just take him rounds. I think if he can get a kill shot, he'll obviously go for the kill shot. But we've seen Adesanya go the distance quite a few times. Obviously going the distance with Yoel Romero, going the distance with Anderson Silva. Did he go the distance, Silva? I think he did. And I can see him going the distance again. So I could see Adesanya going the distance. It's really hard to see him wearing down Jan Blachowicz. I think he's just going to be annoying more than powerful. I think he's just going to frustrate Blachowicz more than destroy him. But I think that he will pepper him. He will get his shots off. I think it'll come down to the striking. And make no mistake about it, if Jan Blachowicz can get a few shots off an Adesanya, things could get tasty then. Things could get interesting then. But I think Adesanya's got a decent chin. We've seen him take some big shots. and, still carry on. A bit different being in there against a light heavyweight, though. So, Jan Blachowicz firing a couple of shots on Adesanya. I don't know if he's going to take those. So, make no mistake about it. I don't want to say that Jan Blachowicz has got just a puncher's chance, because that's not fair. Because he's definitely improved. He's definitely started to put things together. He has now got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And he likes to move forward. He's got a great chin. He's had 15 UFC fights, so he's got tons more experience than Adesanya. He can lack volume, but he is on a great run. He's 8 wins and 1 defeat in his last 9. So Adesanya 9-0, Jan Blachowicz 8-1 in his last 9. So when we say he's on a great run, we probably mean it. He's on a great run, and he's champion, and he's being written off. I can tell you that Adesanya is minus 240, Jan Blachowicz plus 200. So the bookies have got Adesanya winning, and I am leaning with them as well. R.I.P. Izzy. Big fish, little fish. Shout out to you. James Chadwick. Shout out to you. That I didn't know that. Didn't know Chelsea had scored. So yeah, shout out to you. Big fish, little fish says, "What is the best UFC fighter in the last 5 years?" I'd probably have to say Khabib. I know it's a really boring answer, but I think the fight against Conor. So if you think about Khabib, he has in the past 5 years won the championship against Ala Quinta, whilst Conor was obviously off doing Mayweather stuff. He kind of vacated the title, and so as a result, Khabib won that. He was undefeated, obviously. He's still undefeated, but he became champion. Then in 2018, at the end of 2018, he had the biggest fight in UFC history against Conor McGregor and won decisively. So, he won that. Then he went on to face, was it Poirier next in 2019? He faced Dustin Poirier, who's just beat Conor. And, one of the best lightweights out there. Well, Khabib dealt with him, no problems at all. Then we move forward, and I'm trying to remember in order. I think, was it Gaethje next? Is that all he faced? Gaethje was his last one, wasn't it, in 2020? So yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe he's been quite inactive then, thinking about it. So maybe I can't give him style points for activity, but I think level of competition to go on a run against Conor, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, and beat them all is pretty wild. So I think that absolutely cements him as a GOAT. So I'd love for him to do 30 though. Still no news on that. I haven't heard that he's 100% retired. So still no news as to whether he has retired or not. But I think he's pretty much done. But I would love for him to have fight number 30. I don't even really care about who it's against. I think I was talking earlier about how UFC don't do a very good job of allowing fans to say goodbye. I fully understand that Khabib shocked the world when he took his gloves off, put them in the middle of the octagon and walked away and said he was done. I fully understand that is a real significant moment. But if he can be tempted for one more that we all know is his final fight, I don't really care who it's against. There's obviously dream fights. We can sit here and say, well, I'd love for it to be Usman, to be honest. I'd love for it to be Usman because I just think Kamaru Usman is just an absolute unstoppable animal. Certainly seeing what he did against Burns. And I think there's a bit more respect on Usman's name now. That fight would have been huge before. Now, I mean, stratospheric. I don't know that it does Khabib Conor numbers, but I'd be interested in that fight. Because the only reason it wouldn't happen would be because Khabib would be concerned about the stepping up in weight. Usman's a big guy. So I could understand Khabib being like, that's not the right fight for me. I could understand that. there'd be no shame in him, not wanting to take that fight. And I should imagine he probably doesn't want to take that fight. I think skill-wise, it would be so interesting. It would be really interesting. But size-wise, it might be one that Khabib says, no, that's not right for me. And also, UFC probably won't want to do it because if Khabib murders Usman and then leaves, like, they've lost Khabib, Usman's just been murdered. Like, it leaves them in a really bad situation. So I could imagine UFC going, that's not the right way forward. But I just think if this really is to find who is the best, if this really is where you've got pound for pound rankings and we want to know who is the best, then this is the fight to make, isn't it? Usman against Khabib. Because there's no one else in that lightweight division for Khabib. He's cleared it out. He's cleared it out. So who is there? I mean, I suppose you could say Oliveira, but I can't see Charles Oliveira being the one to beat Khabib. But, if they did Oliveira, that would be fine. If they did Chandler, that would be fine. If they give Poirier a rematch, that would be fine. If Conor somehow got a rematch, which I don't see happening, that would be fine. I think I don't really care. I just want one more Khabib fight, so... Right, we are about to go over. They're a few minutes late. Perhaps they overslept. We've all done it. We've all done it. Ciampa deserves a Raw call-up. I do like John Jones. I think, though, the thing with John
Mike
Jones...
Ziegler is a legend. They donated $5 Canadian via a super chat. Days, which title do you think is most likely to change hands and which one is least likely to change hands on this Saturday's card?
So I think you've got one that's... have you got any that are really likely? I don't want to say it's really likely. Let's say likely. You've got likely, unlikely, don't know. That's what you've got with the 3 fights. So I would say that Adesanya is likely to beat Jan Blachowicz because Jan Blachowicz is a great fighter that is seemingly getting results that no one was expecting, that have come out of nowhere. He's managed to put everything together, but this is a test of that. Has he put it together properly, like to the point where he is now that fighter? Or is he just has he put it together and he's getting opportunity in moments that he's capitalizing on? But, all of that will be tested against Adesanya. So I would say that Jan Blachowicz is someone that is a great fighter who is absolutely maxing out his performance level. And Adesanya is going to push him to his limit. I really believe that Adesanya is someone that's going to take Jan Blachowicz to deep waters. I could see this going long. I think over 2.5 is a good bet on this one. So I could see the fight going long. I can see Adesanya really testing Jan Blachowicz. I can see him frustrating him and tagging him and hitting him and, just volume, sniping shots, evasive movement, frustration. What can Jan Blachowicz do in that situation? I think it goes judges and there's only going to be one winner and it'll be Adesanya because I think that he will have done a lot more and he'll be up on striking and... So I'm going to say it's likely that main event, the title changes hands and that Adesanya becomes the new light heavyweight champion. And I really hope he does as well, because that could open the door to a mouth-watering fight, Adesanya versus John Jones. I think Megan Anderson has got size, but very little else. I think she has got fighting skill, but she is outgunned on the feet. She's outgunned on the ground. There's a path to victory for her, but it's quite narrow, and that's reflected in the betting odds. Could she win? Sure, she could win. As I said, there is definitely a path to victory, and I think if you do have a little something on Megan Anderson, it's not the worst idea. I'm not going to say that you've completely thrown your money away, but I think you need to know that it's very, very, very unlikely. I think Amanda Nunes is regarded as the greatest female fighter of all time for a very good reason, and that is because she keeps getting big wins over big opponents. She's beaten Holly Holm. She's beaten Ronda Rousey. She's beaten Cyborg. She's beaten Shayna Baszler. Legit, she has. She's beaten, like, big names. Not that Shayna was, but yeah, I just think we're clutching at straws. There's a lot of people saying Megan Anderson's got the size advantage, and she does. It ain't gonna matter. It ain't gonna mean anything. Everyone's the same size when they're down on the ground. So yeah, I think that she'll retain that. And then, so I think there's a likely in the main event, there's an unlikely in the co-main event, and who knows when it comes to Jan versus Sterling. But I am leaning to Jan, as for the reasons I said earlier. Right. I do think Jon Jones is up there. I would have him in my top 3 from the past 5 years. But, yeah, the only thing with Jon Jones is the fact that I think there was a few fights that were very close, like that Reyes fight, where people are like, did he win? Don't know. There's a few little moments around Jon Jones where it's like, don't know. But this is cool. We've got the Open playing right now for UFC 259 this Saturday. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel as well. We will be here on Saturday, and we will start early. I'm looking to start about an hour before the early prelims, and then go through the earlies, through the prelims, through the main card. If that live stream does 10 hours, I don't care. This is one of the biggest events of the year. I mean, look, they're just showing Nunez knocking out Cyborg. Knocked out Cyborg. Head kick to Holly Holm. She is. I mean, that's all Megan Anderson can say. She's done it all. She's the greatest of all time, but I've never been scared to fight anyone. I mean, that's it. That's all she can say. It's going to be a war. I'm going to make it a dogfight. Retribution, shout out to you. Nolene, I did, yes. Shout out to you. Adesanya is so much smaller. What if he beats Jan? I think he will beat Jan. I think that he's going to have the reach advantage. I think that he's someone that uses that reach advantage very well. So his sniping, striking, he doesn't want to get close to Jan. Jan is an absolute monster. He's got a great size to him. The power is very real. Honestly, if Jan is going to connect with one of those hammers on his chin, like, I don't know, it's going to be a real test for Adesanya. These 3 fights, man. These 3 fights are huge. Maybe not the Nunez one, but it's just, I said before, I think it's so easy to take for granted Amanda Nunes. It's so easy to just forget, like, or not realize kind of how lucky we are. Because I suppose in a way you always expect someone else to come along, don't you? Like, you always expect there to be another Amanda Nunes that'll come along soon, that'll replace her, and she'll be the greatest of all time or whatever. And who knows, maybe there could be, but there's no guarantees that that's going to happen. There's no guarantees that someone of her caliber will be seen in our lifetime, because it is rarefied air. It is, you know, she's the greatest of all time. Right, this is a big press conference. We've got Dana White on stage. There's championship belts everywhere. Next to him is going to be obviously Jan Blachowicz and Adesanya. But we've got 4 tables. Reminds me of the layout, you know, when Connor was there. And he was like, who the is that guy? And you had all like these tables and different levels. It's reminds me of that. Right, so Aljamain Sterling has made his way out. Very interested to see what he's got to say. Days, I can't wait for the play-by-play. Yadong versus Phillips. The chat will try and keep a straight face during that match. It's going to be good, man. Right, here's Megan Anderson. Former Invicta featherweight champion. Yeah, we bring it out. 11 winner of 11 fights in a row. Here she is, the Lady Goat. Nice shirt. She's rocking a bit of a Paulo Costa vibe.
David McIntosh is a legend.
David, shout out
they
to you.
donated $2 Australian via a super chat. You will need to stock up on bananas for a 10 hours show.
That's true. I might even be sat here dressed as a banana. The last style bender. Israel Adesanya making his way out. He's got his coat on. He's got a black jacket on. He's got a really nice white Adesanya. I think it's an Adesanya t-shirt. Here's Jan Blachowicz. Polish power. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to this.
Jose Flores is a legend. They donated $1.99 via a super chat. What if Izzy's power has no effect in light HW?
I think it will have an effect, but I don't think he's going to have knockout power. I think he's going to frustrate. I think that his shots will get through. I think he'll pepper Jan Blachowicz, as I said. And I think he's going to look good to the judges. Is he going to have the power to be knocking people out in light heavyweight? Well, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think so. But Izzy has always continued to surprise. He's talking about changing the game. He's talking about changing history, Adesanya. So Adesanya gets the first question. Yeah. You've got John Jones's attention. Adesanya says middleweight is my division. I want to go back down. He says, Adesanya said, I've got this Viking in front of me. So I'm having a little peek ahead, but not too far ahead. I like that line. So they're saying you've got an opportunity to get bigger than the UFC. And Adesanya says that he doesn't look for that, but he's something that he's going to have to get used to. I mean, it is, in fairness, Adesanya is the star. I understand that Amanda Nunes is the lady goat, but Adesanya very much is the person that people will buy this pay-per-view for. Because I mean, we've had Nunes pay-per-views that just don't shift numbers. And I don't think anyone sees this as a legit challenge for her. If this was Nunes against Ronda again, or maybe Holly Holm, or, you know, a name that people thought she actually was going to struggle against, then she might shift numbers. The problem is she's cleaned the division out. Right, Jan Blachowicz being asked some questions now. Are you concerned that he could KO you? No, I'm going to try and knock him out. He says, I'm going to use my power and my weight. So John Jones is being mentioned again here. That's interesting. Jan Blachowicz says, I'm not thinking about anything really other than Adesanya. And when I win, I just want to keep defending that belt. And now we've got Dana White. Yeah, this card is stacked. Tony Khan is best booker. Eva Marie for UFC. I'd love that. I'd be a big fan of that. So the question is, do you think Adesanya could sell out a stadium in the US? And Dana says yes. Dana wants to go to Texas. So Texas is open and Dana wants to go. Right, now a question for Amanda Nunes. Nunez says every fight is different. She's going to have the reach advantage and she's very tall. I must admit, I mean, I do feel like these fighters really don't take this opportunity. I mean, I think what people are looking for is they do want respect, but they are looking for some personality. Like, it's such a big selling point is your personality. It's what got Conor over. And if there's a way that you can, like, stand out from the pack, you know, if there's just anything that you can do that might resonate with people, it's such a big gain for your like brand, for you as a fighter to stand out. Because I mean, that's what 400. I don't even know how many people are signed to the UFC, but they've got a fair few fighters. But you know, Connor's obviously a great example of someone doing that. But so far, no one on this stage. Like, I hope Aljamain Sterling's going to bring some personality. Megan Anderson says, I think I'm going to be the first true featherweight that she will face. Nunez kind of looks like Superfly Snooker, says Butter Spark. She's cool, man. Yeah, she has her hair in particular does make her look like the Superfly. But as I said, her shirt has got like a Paulo Costa vibe. It's kind of like if Superfly Snooker had a child with Razor Ramon that turned out to be the greatest female MMA fighter ever. That would be Amanda Nunes. Razor Superfly Nunes. Right, yeah. I want some personality here, so hopefully Aljamain Sterling's going to give us that. Even Adesanya seems quietly respectful. Sterling says Piotr has great grappling, but it's not to the level of mine. Aljamain Sterling is on a 5-fight win streak. He's got a record of 19 wins and 3 defeats. He says, I am one of the elite guys out there. I really like Aljamain Sterling as well. All right, Petr Yan. Petr Yan says that he's a good striker, but he's nothing compared to my striking. Days, I hope there's some sort of crowd. This card deserves one. I don't think there is, mate. I don't think there is. I don't know is the true answer, but it's at the Apex. We've not been having crowds at the Apex. I seem to recall, wasn't there like a competition whereby you and your family could sit on a sofa in the Apex and it had like the game and all these like UFC memorabilia, I remember bobbleheads and all this like merch, but you got to go and be in the crowd at the Apex. That might be it. So there might be a crowd. It might be like a family of four. Yeah, I agree with Dana. Dana says that Jan against Sterling is like two guys in their prime, and this is the perfect time for them to meet each other. I do agree with that. I'm very excited for that fight. I'm excited for all three, just to see if Megan can do it. That's probably the one I'm least excited for, but still Amanda Nunes. What a card, man! This card is disgustingly good. Okay, I think, is she Spanish? No idea what she's saying. A lot has got to do with speech gap. That's why it's so dry. Days, it snowed earlier, says Sunny. Days, Becky's Baby versus Vince McMahon versus Linda versus Hornswoggle versus Dave Meltzer. That sounds like a wild match. So they're just showing us Nunez footage. She's got 2 belts. It's worth saying as well that this is the first time since January 2019 that we will get champion versus champion. Obviously, Adesanya middleweight champion, Jan Blachowicz light heavyweight champion. We haven't had that since January 2019, which is quite significant. Yeah, I don't know any of this. I don't even know what language they're speaking. Spanish, I think. I don't know. So current odds: Amanda Nunes minus 1,000 favorite. Anderson plus 650. So a little money on Anderson. I think that's where people are having a little bet just in case. So her odds have come down a touch. The card is that good. We even forgot about Yadong. Well, Dave, in real life, I will never forget about Yadong. Never. Song Yadong is on the prelims, and I know we have fun with him. I mean, I have a lot of fun with Yadong, but he's 23 years old, Yadong. 23 years old, and he is 5-0, 1 draw in the UFC. He is such a crisp, powerful boxer. Never been beaten in the octagon. Should have a technical advantage over his opponent, Phillips, this weekend. I would expect Yadong to be victorious, and very much looking forward to that fight. Right, we've gone back to Adesanya now. So Adesanya says he's not quite where he needs to be, but every day he's getting better. And Petr Yan. Number 10, Petr Yan in the pound-for-pound rankings, which I didn't know. Little graphic just popping up on screen. Little bit of back and forth here. This is good. This is better. Jan and Sterling going at it. Sterling saying, I hope they taught you how to catch a mouse. And Jan was like, I've been catching mice my whole career. Sterling was like, yeah, but this mouse is going to strangle you back. I mean, on the scale of trash talking, I would say that's quite low. Yeah, well, this mouse is going to cause you problems. Well, look, at least they're trying. At least they're trying. There's people in the UFC chat saying that's a bit cringe. That's like Tom and Jerry. It is like Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I wanted some personality. Fair play. Aljamain Sterling's giving us something. Something. Mouse. People are loving it. Aljamain the Mouse Sterling. Sterling throwing, shamed, and getting rained on. This is going to be light work for Adesanya, says Chris. Warsaw Till I Die says, Days, notice how the left side is the serious fighters and the right side is the fighters who can have a laugh. Well, they've sort of got the champions on the one side and the challengers on the other, but I suppose you're right that Adesanya... Okay, so Dana says they're talking about, like, Texas and about trying to get this. Izzy seems very subdued. Oh, yeah, he's being asked about Chimaev now. So Dana says that Chimaev has got some effects from COVID. He's training like an animal. And what happened to him is what will happen if you don't listen to doctors. He needs to relax. He needs to heal. Dana says, I don't know what he'll do. Dana says he needs to chill out. And now they're talking to him about Junior Dos Santos and Overeem. Yeah, very short answer. Some nice words said about him, but we're moving on. Okay. Will there be a big walkout for Adesanya? Expect the unexpected, he says. Expect the unexpected. Current odds have got Jan Blachowicz at plus 185, Adesanya at minus 230. Walkout to knockout. One Division final episode tomorrow. I still haven't seen that. Spitting Blood is not good. Yeah, that was wild, wasn't it? I hope he's well, because Chimaev is such a talent, and Dana was just saying there, you know, the kid picked up like 1 million new followers on social media in like a weekend or something, like a space of a week. Megan has got the 6th shortest average fight time. So Dana just asking about the future of the featherweight division for the women. When people say One Division, I just think of Wanda from Fairly Odd Parents. Austin, shout out to you. There's now a tsunami threat for parts of New Zealand. I don't know what's going on over there, but as I said, stay safe. I would love him to turn around and say, none of your effing business. Yeah, no fans. They've confirmed it. I didn't know if there was going to be like a token 100 or something like that, but no fans apparently. Megan says, it's been a weird journey getting here, but I don't really care. I block out all that noise anyway. Austin? Yeah, I do need to get caught up with One Division. Pace of this is quite slow. There was a little bit of like Dana standing around trying to see who was the next question. Dana doesn't look like he wants to be there. Yeah, okay, this will be good. Have you got a conflict with Sterling? Oh, good. Someone's asked a good question. I haven't got a conflict with him. I just want to beat his curly hair. Okay, Khabib, talk. And Sterling in the background doing his hair. Right, Khabib. He's having dinner on Saturday. They're going on a date, guys. Woo! Dana's face is lit up. You know, I said he was bored. He doesn't look bored now. Wow, me and Khabib are going to have dinner on Saturday. If Khabib is interested, he'll take a fight. You don't hear Khabib saying, leave me alone. That is true, isn't it, in all fairness? That was good. So I wanted an answer on that. So apparently, there we go. They're going on dinner. For dinner on Saturday night. Yeah, so they are talking about what's happening in New Zealand. Obviously, that's where Adesanya's from. He says, it sounds like everything's okay, but... Oh, last question. So there we go. We were onto that tsunami talk well before it became a topic in this press conference. Shout out to you, Hayden. Okay, so question for Petr Yan. Aljamain Sterling looks sharp. Petr Yan says he doesn't really notice Aljamain Sterling. I kind of feel like Petr Yan, he's sitting there smiling. It's like he wants to say something. Some random... Some random question for Dana. Cool. Mini King, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Days, did you get my predictions? I have no idea, to be honest. I haven't had a chance to have a look at emails for the past few hours. So if it was sent through in the past few hours, I won't have seen it. That is the end of the press conference. I gotta tell you, if I was Dana, right? If I was Dana, and I don't know why he doesn't do this, but if I was Dana, I would turn around to them before they go out there and be like, look, don't say anything that's going to hurt your brand, that's going to hurt your image, but do say something. This is literally a platform where all of our fans are going to be watching, wanting to just get that taste of what you're about. This is such a big show. You're going to have a lot of casual fans watching. It just seems very quiet, very respectful, kind of seems like something they don't really want to be there for. Kind of came across like an inconvenience. So strange. So strange. But this isn't the first time. This happens a lot. So we got some face-to-faces now. So we got Aljamain Sterling. And Jan turning side on, staring at the camera. Little bit of talk now between the two. These two have probably done the best. Just little smirks and obviously the mouse comment and everything. But it's a bit of talking between the two of them. Aljamain Sterling puts his hand out and Jan does shake it. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that fight. That fight could be fight of the night. But I think there's a few options for that. Right, now we've got Megan Anderson and Amanda Nunes. So, quite the size difference, but Megan has got heels on, in all fairness. So, I'm not sure it'll be quite as drastic as that when they do face each other, but it does make for a good image. There she is, look, the champ. Look at her, man. Belt on this, sick shirt, headband. Amanda Nunes. And here we go. Our main event, UFC 259. Look at Izzy. Izzy looks like he's just come in from playing FIFA Street or something. He looks like he's been down the playground, causing mischief with his gang. Oh, his shirt says Adesanya. So Izzy gives a little wink to the camera. He's got a Adesanya shirt on. And there we go. There is Izzy's belt. Izzy gets given his middleweight championship. This is our first champion versus champion contest. And handshake between the two. Izzy walks away. It's exciting, isn't it? It is exciting. Woo! Is he not wanting his belt? I didn't see if he didn't want it or if it was just the case that because it's for the light heavyweight, they didn't want the middleweight one in the picture. But Dana said give it to him anyway or whatever. And so he ends up getting his middleweight championship, and rightfully so. I mean, this, even though it is only for one of the titles, it's obviously very significant that it's champion versus champion. Adesanya didn't even want the belt. It was Dana that made him. Adesanya, that was cool, wasn't it? I think Anderson will beat Nunez. Well, if you genuinely believe that, you should think about putting some money down. Because not much, but the odds are absolutely insane, and you will struggle to find odds this tasty. At the moment, about plus 650. Just absolutely wild. So if you genuinely believe that she can do it, then put the money where your mouth is. It's not a bet I'm taking, but she. I mean, there's a slim chance. There's definitely a path to victory. That's the way that I would word it. There's definitely a path to victory, but it's a horrible path that takes you through woods, and steep cliff falls, and it's the kind of path you just wouldn't want to walk down. So yeah, I don't expect it. And that is it. We've got blank screen. There was around about just short of 100,000 watching that on YouTube, and yeah, it's tasty, man. It's tasty. It's going to be a big weekend. Rick kind of hammering that point home by pointing out that Dominic Cruz is on the prelims. It's true, isn't it? Dominic Cruz doesn't even make the main card. He's onto the prelims. So, and 15 fights as well. So Dominic Cruz against Casey Kenny. I mean, what a great fight that is going to be. Dominic Cruz against Casey Kenny is going to be absolutely insane. It is worth just briefly talking about some of those other fights. And I would say Dominic Cruz, Casey Kenny, which I believe is the main event of the prelims. A fantastic fight in the bantamweight division. Dominic Cruz just, was king for so long and was such a great fighter that, he's still held in such high regard, but he is amazingly winless since 2016. He was obviously away for like 3.5 years due to injury. And he's had some great fights since coming back, but winless since 2016, but still the man, really. His overall record is 22-3. 22-3. He is a great fighter. And honestly, if he's even like 50% good, he should get past Casey Kenny. But Casey Kenny, really good fighter in his own right. 16-2, former LFA double champ. Great grappling, going to have a reach advantage. and could have, the skills to put away Dominic Cruz. But I feel quite comfortable in saying that Dominic Cruz should win that. We got Song Yadong taking on Kyler Phillips, and feeling pretty good about Yadong. Big fan of Yadong, as fans of this channel will be fully aware. Joseph Benavidez. Joseph Benavidez is on this card. For those of you that might not remember, Joseph Benavidez was the guy that lost to Figueiredo to not be successful in becoming the champion. So, it was kind of heartbreaking in a way that he faced Figueiredo twice, and he lost twice. And as a result, he didn't go on to become that flyweight champion. But he, before that, was like a dominant force in the division. He's still a dominant force in the division. 28-7, 28 wins, 7 losses. But someone that is basically the number one guy in that division outside of Figueiredo. But, now obviously we've got Marino that's come along, and we're getting that rematch. So I don't know quite where he is at the moment, but this is going to be a very interesting fight because Benavidez is taking on Asgar Askarov, who is undefeated, is 2-0 in the UFC. Very exciting prospect. They are throwing him into the deep end, man. So Benavidez against Asgar Askarov should be a really tasty fight. So that looks absolutely fascinating. That's going to be a real test for Asgar as well, for both guys, but you would think more so for Asgar Askarov, who doesn't even have half of the experience, maybe not even a third of the experience that Joseph Benavidez have got. And of course, it's always worth pointing out that Joseph Benavidez is with Megan O'Leary as well. For all you Megan O'Leary fans out there, that is Mr. Megan O'Leary. So he is on the card. So Joseph Benavidez, Kaikara France on this card as well. The other one that I wanted to just mention, of course, is Islam Makhachev. So Islam Makhachev, 18-1. He's on a 6-fight win streak. His only loss came 5 years ago. And he is someone that is obviously doing a lot of work with Khabib and a lot of training with Khabib. He comes from Russia, and Khabib says that Islam Makhachev will be a future lightweight champion. That has come from Khabib. Khabib knows this guy, knows his skills, works with him, trains him, and he says he will be a future. It's got what it takes. Khabib has said everyone's talking about Ferguson, Conor, Oliveira, Chandler, but fast forward, end of the year, early next year, the conversation will very quickly have moved on to Islam Makhachev. So he's already ranked number 14th. So this is what we're saying, this card, you've got those 3 big fights at the top, but you've got all of this experience, all of these great fighters, all of these prospects. I mean, again, we joke about Song Yadong. He's 23 years old. He's 23 years old. He's undefeated in the UFC. I think 5-0. Like, this guy is legit. So this is such an exciting card. This is like a perfect storm of just like great fights coming together at this one moment. They actually asked during that press conference, Dana, they were like, why have you stacked this card? And he was like, it's just the way it's come together. It's just the perfect storm. Like, all these fights lined up at the same time. And this was the right time to put them all together. So 3 title fights, 15 fights, 3 title fights, 4 champions, prospects everywhere, legends everywhere, veterans everywhere. One of the biggest cards of the year. Mike says, I'll always root for Cruz. TX Base 2 says UFC 261 will be way better. I don't even know if I've seen that card. Who's on 261? Is it Who's on 261 at the moment? Let's have a little look. 261. 261. Is that the Valentina card? Yeah. So that card has got Valentina Shevchenko against Jessica Andrade as a main event, which, gotta be honest, I'm not sure that fight's even as exciting as any. That's probably same level as Nunes Megan Anderson. Chris Weidman against Uriah Hall is a good fight. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look a bad card, but I feel like that needs something being added to it. And in fact, I'm just reading now on Wikipedia, while not officially announced, Zhang Weili against Thug Rose is being targeted to take place at this event. So there we go. So it did feel like it needed something more. And yeah, if it gets Zhang Weili taking on Rose and Amanda Nunes, I love Thug Rose. Thug Rose is one of my absolute favorite fighters. I speak about her quite a bit. As I said, I find her very intriguing. I think she's a great fighter. I think that she has overcome a lot in her life. Just the way she carries herself. You know, you talk about personality, and it's the one thing that I think a lot of fight fans really look for. Yes, they look at, obviously, fighting style, and they want to find who's the best fighter, but you do want to see a bit of personality as well. Because there's no point just being generic fighter B, generic fighter C, generic fighter D. Like, you've got to show a little bit of personality, a little bit of humor, a little bit of intensity or aggression, or just, you know, amplify some side of yourself. And I got to say, I think, you know, Yan and Sterling, okay. But, I mean, outside of that, no one really took that press conference as the opportunity that I think it was. I can understand Dana not wanting it to turn into a circus, but, I mean, Conor got to where Conor got because of his mouth, you know? Obviously, he kept winning fights as well. He could back it up. But there's no denying that his mouth set the table. So, yeah, shame that no one kind of stepped up during that press conference. But, yeah, Rose has definitely got that personality because she shows a lot of vulnerability. She's obviously really struggled with, like, personal demons. And I was watching a program on Fight Pass to do with Rose, and she's got, like, a support dog that, like, is just there to, like, calm her down if she's having, like, a bit of an episode and whatever. And it's kind of so weird to think that there's someone in the UFC, I should imagine there's quite a few that haven't even spoken out, but that have got those kind of mental issues, those mental health issues, but yet can still go on to achieve what they achieve. She is one of the greatest female sports athletes in the world. She is competing in one of the toughest sports in the world, and she's able to overcome all of that mental health stuff to achieve what she's achieved, to go on to become a champion. And yeah, I got a lot of respect for her, man. A lot of respect. And she definitely, you know, is very intriguing. So I'm looking forward to seeing her taking on Zhang Weili. What a fight that should be. Because my fight of last year was, of course, Joanna against Zhang Weili. Those two women went to absolute war with each other. So I don't know if this would be that level, because that's a crazy level. But, yeah, I agree. I would very much be looking forward to 261 if that fight gets added. And is it 260 that is Stipe and Ngannou? So Stipe Miocic, of course, coming back last year to win the trilogy against Daniel Cormier. And next in line is the absolutely just dominant beast that is Francis Ngannou. They have faced each other before, with Stipe winning, but Ngannou says he learned a lot from that, and as a result, he's feeling pretty good about this rematch. And make no mistake about it, I mean, Stipe's getting up there in age, so if Ngannou could win that title, Ngannou could go on to become a massive star, a massive star. Ngannou might be the heavyweight UFC need. And then you could get Ngannou against John Jones, which would be incredible. What a fight that would be. I think I would rather John Jones Stipe, because I think Stipe is a bit more He's been around the block a bit more. He's got a bit more experience, and I think I would if I had to choose. Do you want Ngannou Jones or do you want Stipe Jones? I think I would go Stipe Jones because I just think Stipe is got the potential to. He's got better ring IQ and is regarded as the greatest heavyweight of all time. And I kind of think that would be that would feel like the clash of two masters. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like two chess masters going against each other. Stipe versus John Jones. I would love that fight. Either way, I can't lose because I would love Ngannou John Jones as well. Because Ngannou is an absolute savage. So to see him going up against John Jones, that'd be awesome. So, yeah, man, we've got some big events coming up this year. Some absolutely huge events. Because you've got to think Conor will come back. Conor said he wants to fight 3 times this year. We only got him once last year. So, as a result, he wants to fight 3 times this year. And now that he's lost as well to Poirier, I should imagine that fire is burning and raging even more. He needs to heal. He needs to get back 100%. He needs to work on the leg kicks. He sent a tweet out the other day saying, guys, I will check the leg kicks, right? So it's clearly on his mind. Out of nowhere, he just sent that tweet out. Guys, I'm going to check the leg kicks. So, yeah, he's desperate to get back. He will come back. He's even sending out tweets saying he will be checking the leg kicks next time. So I'd expect Conor at some point. And then I'm trying to think what champions we won't have seen. I mean, we know Valentina's coming up. We know... Oh, is there any champions we haven't seen? Well, who hasn't had a fight champion-wise? I kind of feel like we've done a good job of going through all the champions. We've had Nunez. We will have had Zhang Weili. We will have had Valentina. So that's the women done. Stipe, Jan Blachowicz, Israel Adesanya, Usman, Khabib, but we don't know what's happening with Khabib, of course. Volkanovski has got a fight coming up. I think Volkanovski is he on the Stipe card? I've got a feeling that Stipe Ngannou card has got Volkanovski on it as well. Figueiredo we saw in December, so he hasn't fought this year, but we saw him twice in a row in December, so we've seen Figgy. Petr Yan coming up, of course. Volkanovski, I think, has got a fight. I think that's all the male fighters as well. So they're really cycling through these champions quite quickly. So hopefully we can get another rotation for like the end of the year as we kind of get to the summer. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the end of the year is going to look like because 3 title fights here with another 2 coming up soon, and then another 2 after that means we will have cycled through most of the champions. So interesting stuff though. David Conley says Sterling, Nunez and Izzy are all gonna win those 3 fights. Warsaw Till I Die says I sent my predictions yesterday. Okay, I will have a look at that after we've wrapped up here. We do have a members only stream starting in about 50 minutes, so we will need to wind this down. But just want to get people's final thoughts on this very exciting weekend. As we said, big weekend coming up. Not only have we got UFC 259 on Saturday, but of course we've got AEW Revolution on Sunday as well. Obviously SmackDown tomorrow, Raw on Monday. It's just non-stop, man. What a weekend this is going to be. Huge weekend. Days, they hardly asked Jan Blachowicz anything. Yeah, I kind of feel like when you've got Amanda Nunes on stage and you've got Adesanya on stage and you've got maybe Sterling as well, I should imagine those 3 in particular are the 3 that the press are going to target more. Might be a little something in like the language barrier, whatever, but I think his English is all right. I think he can speak English. But the star there, the biggest star on that stage was Adesanya, with Nunez very closely behind. But the problem for Nunez is, as we said earlier, she's facing someone that's not perceived to be a real threat. She's only really going to be able to generate buzz when she's going up against what people perceive to be a very real challenge. They are trying to sell the height thing. They are talking, and you could see the height difference, but I keep saying we're just grabbing at straws because she just outclasses her everywhere, on the ground, on the feet. So I'm expecting Nunez to win that very, very comfortably. Monica King, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Alex says, apparently there is talk about having the next takeover be on April 7th and April 8th. Jan was talking in Russian in the press, but spoke English in Sterling's face-off. Shout out to you, Liam. Yeah, I've got a feeling that Jan can speak a bit of English as well. But obviously can speak a lot of Russian. I really like Jan. I think Jan is very underrated. I've got Jan winning. I've got Nunez winning, and I've got Adesanya winning. So and make no mistake about it, if Adesanya does win, he steps up again. I mean, he then becomes a champ. He becomes a 2-division champion. He goes into a very elite group, a very select group of people that have been able to win belts at 2 different weight divisions. It sets up the mouth-watering prospect of Adesanya Jon Jones. I think that has potential, if built right, if booked right, if they do go verbal at each other, if they do use the press conference to really build up that fight, that has potential to be the biggest MMA fight ever, because Adesanya is on course to being the man in UFC right now. He's got bags of personality. People really relate to him. He's into anime and all things like this. So, do you know what I mean? Like, he's a very likable, very relatable person. I mean, not for me. I haven't watched a single anime in my life, but for other people out there, he's very relatable. And I do really like Adesanya anyway. But, yeah, he's well on course to being, like, you know, the face of UFC. He's on the front cover of the game, for example. I always think that's a good barometer. I think if EA are putting you on the cover of the game, then you've got something about you. So it was obviously Masvidal and Adesanya on the cover of UFC 4. So Adesanya on the cover of the game, very much being positioned as kind of the Conor replacement, if you will, to kind of be the face of the UFC. He will take a massive step forward if he becomes the champ. So him going on to achieve that, and Jon Jones being a heavyweight, if Jon Jones then, you know, wants to be a champ himself, wants to, I think Jon Jones right now is very focused on winning that heavyweight title. But I think if he can achieve that, then he might be looking at going after Adesanya. I don't know. Is it going to start to become difficult for Jon Jones to cut the weight and get down to light heavyweight? I genuinely don't know. There seems to come a point in people's careers, kind of the same as what happened with Cormier, whereby you kind of reach an age where the cut starts to become difficult to get down to light heavyweight. And so Jon Jones might be around that area. You just don't know. You don't know what it's going to be like once you do bulk up. How easy it's going to be then to come back down. So, yeah. I mean, it's going to be so interesting tomorrow morning. I really, there's so much to talk about. This is why we are going to be starting before the early prelims, because there's so much to go through. One of the big aspects that we've not spoken about is the weigh-in. So, I wasn't doing, or I'm still not doing a watch-along for the weigh-in, because by and large, the weigh-in's going to be pretty bland, right? Weigh-ins don't really do it for me, if I'm being perfectly honest. But there's one weigh-in that's going to be absolutely fascinating, and that is Adesanya Jan Blachowicz, the main event. Jan Blachowicz is looking to come in at about 215 to 220, and Izzy is going to be coming in at about 193. He's actually said he's looking at about 193. So it's kind of wild, man. The difference in size between the two is going to be very, very significant. Very significant. So 193 for Adesanya, 215 for Jan Blachowicz, a difference of over 20 pounds. Like, Jan Blachowicz is going to be over 10% bigger than Israel Adesanya, which shows, the mountain that Adesanya is going to have to climb. So I think Adesanya, pound for pound, is the better fighter, but that size can be a difference, could be a factor. So I'm very interested to see what they actually... Because it's all well and good saying I'm aiming to weigh in at this or I'm going to weigh in at this, but what do you actually weigh in at? So very interested to find that out. So, yeah, it's going to be good. Jones will wait for Adesanya at heavyweights, says Rick. Jan versus Sterling will be complete domination, but I just don't know for who. Days, do you remember Big Show versus Floyd Mayweather? I do, yes. Monica has sent her predictions through. Alianne says, why are you not doing a toy hunt? Because all the shops are closed. All the shops have been closed since December here in the UK, so there is nowhere to toy hunt. I could go to B&M, but they have a very limited range, and I'm not sure I'd be able to get much out of that. Because, to be perfectly honest, if I'm doing one, I'm doing it right. I don't want to put one out there that's like substandard and then people think, oh, this is what they're going to be like now. It's like, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it right. We're going to Smith's. We're going to try and go to a few shops. Going to have a laugh with it and whatever. So, yeah, 2020 into 2021 has been horrific for that. But that's what's made like the streams so important, because without those toy hunts, which very much were the lifeblood of this channel before the watch-alongs, without the watch-alongs, I mean, we would be dead in the water. We might not even be here. So, in fact, we wouldn't. There's no way. If we didn't have the watch-alongs and we can't do the toy hunts, I don't know what the channel would look like. So, we will get back onto toy hunts. Try and get one done each month or whatever. But for now, they're just on hold. Days, did I hear correctly? Dana said Overeem has left. Yes, he was released by the UFC yesterday. And he's made a little statement thanking everyone. And it's a real shame, man. I love Overeem. Big fan of Overeem. I hope he goes to fight on somewhere, because I don't feel like he's completely washed up. I don't think that he was going to win the title. I don't think that he was someone that was going to be beating the top of the division anytime soon or ever again. But I do think he could have had one more fight for us to have said goodbye. I think he could have been like a gatekeeper, potentially. But UFC just doesn't seem interested in that. Plus, to be honest, I think they need to save money. I think Fight Island wasn't cheap. I think that without fans, they're losing a lot of revenue. I think it's a challenge at the moment. I think Dana is desperate to get fans back because it's significant revenue that they're missing out on, that all these companies are missing out on. And granted, they make money from like pay-per-view buys and TV and things along those lines, but I can't imagine that this has been easy. So I don't know the actual numbers. I don't know if the actual numbers ever get released. They say, oh, it's brilliant, we're having a record year and all of this, but maybe on pay-per-view buys and maybe on views, maybe on engagement, maybe your social media engagement is through the roof, but I can't believe you're having record year on money. I'd struggle to believe that, because you're not getting any income from fans and tickets, which is significant. And your TV deal is going to be exactly the same as it was. Maybe the merch has gone up. Maybe everyone's stuck at home. People are buying more merch, but I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, it's no surprise they're so desperate to get to Texas and get going again. I mean, obviously we can debate if that's a good thing or not. I would say it's not. But most fights in PFL for $1 million purses. Adesanya is going to kick ass this weekend. Enjoy watching him, says Monica. Dave says, yep, now I've started live streaming on my channel as I've had a major boost. Dave, shout out to you. All shops in the UK could be open by the end of May. Oh my God. Is it that long? I haven't heard. I haven't really thought about it, if I'm being honest, because I'm so focused on, like, I mean, this year in particular, we have gone from big stream to big stream to big stream. Like, we've done, I mean, we had the Conor UFC event, we've had Royal Rumble, we've done Super Bowl, we've done UFC 258 with Usman and Burns. Now we're finding ourselves on the verge of UFC 259. We've got AEW Revolution. We've got WrestleMania, not that far. Obviously, Fastlane before that as well. So it's been non-stop. Every weekend has had something big. So I can't say that I've missed the toy. Well, I have missed them. That's wrong. I've definitely missed them because I do enjoy making them, and I love putting videos out that people enjoy watching. I mean, that's what it's about. Who wouldn't love
Gaming
that?
in real time is a legend.
I do
They
miss
donated
them,
$2 New Zealand via a super
non-stop,
chat.
man.
What a day. Lockdown to ease and earthquakes.
What a day. Well, what a day indeed. Yeah, even Adesanya was asked about the tsunamis and the earthquakes. And I mean, like, that news has just not been on the BBC, or certainly not that I've seen. So, yeah, wild. Absolutely wild. They want to come to Texas because fans are already being allowed at events, says Rick. Yes, I saw the governor over there saying everything was open, 100%, and leave your masks at home. Wild. So, I don't know. I don't know if he's just woke up in a fever dream or if that's actual medical advice. I would be surprised if it was. But, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's no surprise UFC want to go and capitalize on that. And as I said, we can debate whether that's a good or a bad thing, but either way, it's a thing that they're looking to do at the moment. So I think they were just saying, like, could it be 261 that doesn't have a venue yet? And Dana was like, maybe. Because obviously it's going to be weird. This show tomorrow, I really need to go, but this show on Saturday is going to be at the Apex, and it really feels like it should be at Fight Island. I know it doesn't make any difference because neither venue has got fans, but well, I suppose Fight Island had a couple of thousand for Conor, so I suppose it would have some fans, but it does feel like it should be on Fight Island. But I think it costs a lot to fly people there and have the hotels and all that kind of stuff. So perhaps that's why they're not doing it over at Fight Island, because they like to put on a chunk of shows, because obviously it makes more sense financially to fly everyone over, get it all done, and then bring it all back, and rather than go over for one show. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like Fight Island feels a bit bigger, a bit more prestigious, like the Apex. Apex is kind of like a fight night place. It feels weird doing like the big shows at the Apex. And this show in particular, this show where we're going to have 3 title fights, like Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz at the Apex in front of no fans. It's just strange. It's just strange. It just feels strange. Kind of feels like it should be in Fight Island at least, and at least have like the Fight Island buzz. I don't know if there's much of a Fight Island buzz anymore, but I see it as a slightly bigger deal. Do you know what I mean? It's in a bigger venue. You can have some fans, and just Fight Island feels like a bigger deal than like the training facility in Las Vegas, the in-house performance center. So it's so weird to think that they're going to be in there. So we have seen shows there before. I think Cormier, Nunez, I think, has fought in the Apex, and Cormier, obviously the Figueiredo fights. So there's been a fair few that have come from there, obviously. But yeah, this is big. This is big. 3 title fights happening inside the Apex. Shout out to Liam Bennett. Shout out to you, my friend. Welcome. And you can see a lot of people saying welcome to you. So I think we're about done anyway. I think we are about done. So a big thank you to everyone that joined us. As we said, this was a very different, very, just different. Just a very different stream. Something that I would like to have, try and do on a more regular basis. It all depends on how big those pay-per-views are. This one has got, obviously, 3 title fights, so this was a significant press conference. It's always significant press conferences when you have Conor around as well. So not sure when we'll do these again, but I've said before, I'm constantly looking at trying to bring more UFC content to the channel. And this is just an attempt at doing that, I suppose, but I would like to do more. And but yeah, it's all about Saturday now. It's all about Saturday. UFC 259. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you join us. We will start well before the early prelims. And it is going to be... Make sure you've got your supplies in. Yeah. As I even said earlier, I'm going to have so many bananas. Might even dress like a banana. Because it's going to be a long one on Saturday. But it's going to be an amazing one as well. So... Shout out to everyone. Have a great evening wherever you are. For the members out there, I will see you in about half an hour for the members only stream. And if not, then have a good evening. And I'll either see you tomorrow for SmackDown or Saturday for UFC 259. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.